blue-white control. Straightforward list. Nothing too fancy. I just want to play some blue-white and see how we do in a league. So let's join a league and see how we do. Like I said, we still have that Elish Norn in the sideboard. I'm not playing the 2, not playing the main deck one right now. But I do have one on the board. Still think that card's solid. Playing around with some Spreading Seas again to see how I like that card. I played it recently and I kind of liked it. So I want to see how it feels. And yeah, Chalices, maxed out onto Fairies. Trying to be ready for Cascade decks. Yeah. Well, Pike, you know, I would like to experiment with the ring. We sold the one we opened, and they are 100 tickets a piece now, and they are not rentable. So, I am unable to play with them at the moment. But I'm sure we will at some point. You know, my instinct tells me that they're not very good in blue-white control, but I know people have been playing with it, and I'm sure I could be wrong on that. So, not a lot of Sacred Foundry decks other than Burn. So, okay, it's not Burn. Looks like this is that the one where they like sack artifacts and make 3 dudes or something. Yeah. Alright, I've never seen this card until right now. That's sick. I could Prismatic Ending one of these, but I don't think I should. Huh. I am unfamiliar with what I'm playing against. Interesting. Interesting. Haven't seen Venerated Loxodon in a long time. I'm still at 20 life. They keep just like committing more to the board. They just keep committing more to the board and not hitting me. So like, I don't know. Kind of just drawing towards a verdict, right? 4, 4, 2. They can 10 me next turn. I could Teferi reset the Hopper. Probably want to do that instead of binding. Means they probably hit me for a little less and draws me a card. They're doing a lot of setup, and if I just draw a verdict, I'll probably just win the game. If I don't draw a verdict, however, probably just lose the game. This would be a pretty ideal turn to draw it. Not sure anything else actually gets me out of this spot, though. We had 2 in the deck right now. I don't think with this build I put any in the board. Yeah, so we're just running on 2. We're going here, and then 8 at the dome. Verdict off the top. Easiest verdict of my whole life. Kabam. Supreme verdict. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, hold on now, Evan. This costs 3. Technically, if I kill a Loxodon, they only have me at 1 life. Technically. Might be a little quick on the old concession button. A little quickaroo on the old never mind, I guess I'm dead right now. I take it all back. I've never been more dead. Alright. Chalice on 0 probably claps him. This looks like it also kills stuff. Probably don't need these spreading seas. Like Chalice on 0 on the play specifically. That's why I kind of want to go to the third one. I think like they look like they have a lot of artifact creatures. Probably, you know, Wear Tear is probably reasonable. How good is this card against their deck? And this card. That Goblin... Is that an That's an ETB, right? It's kicker. If you kicked it, ETB, do this thing. It's not like a cast trigger, right? Goblin, Bush, Whacker. Whacking bushes. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked. Yeah, I mean, it's 5 mana. But it also is like a huge body that gets in the way. I like all my removal. I could probably like chuck a couple to fairies, bring an address down. I honestly think I want to try to do the Norn. I can get rid of like an Archmage's Charm. And yeah, it seems good. Got a lot of removal spells. A lot of removal spells. Oh, I forgot to put the deck list up. I'll get that up. One moment. Uno momento. I think I will keep this hand. No Chalice makes me a little sad, but it's okay. Really wanted to put a Chalice on 0. There's the deck list right now. It's a little bit of a funky build. Definitely a little bit of a funky build. Deal. Now, I assume I'm supposed to be killing things like this, to just not let them, like they're a density deck, right? They need to get a bunch of things in play to make their cards work. So, I think using a prismatic ending on something that seems low impact like that is probably worth it. I'm probably supposed to do the body over the token, I guess, because, you know, token can't convoke things. And oh, but then they get to do that. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So they are playing that Gleeful Demolition card into Halo Hopper. Okay, okay, I'm learning. A lot of interesting pieces here. I've never seen this deck before, so I don't know. This is all just guessing. Wow, nice. That is impressive. Yeah, I mean, it's what the position they're able to set up here is pretty wild. I'm going to go ahead and just kill a token, get me a card deeper. I could use Archmage's Charm to steal one. And that effectively kills 2. This turn I'll probably take 4 damage, so they might just like invoke some big thing into play. Hey, Freya. I forgot to register the One Ring. No, I forgot to have $400 to buy the One Ring, actually. Alright. This actually just kills us. This is too much damage. I don't have enough time here. Interesting deck. Looks really aggressive, really fast. Looks like a modern age 8-whack deck, pretty much. Probably has some consistency issues, but looks like it has some pretty powerful draws. Polsey, but then I tap out on 4 or whatever, and then they resolve the One Ring or Karn, and I lose. Pretty rough hand here. I think I'm gonna mulligan this one. This hand's alright. Put back the planes. Nah. Oh. Good take. Like put back the planes here. Looks like we have ourselves a mirror. They have Kahira. I guess with the Elish Norn on the board, I technically could have included Kahira with this build. I wonder if that... Yeah, I wonder if that was worth it. That was probably worth it. I probably should have put the Kahira in. Like, I lose it when I bring in the Elish Norn, but now that she's not... Or wait. Yeah, because I'm only running her in the sideboard, right? Yeah. That was something I had swapped around. Hey, Gator, thank you. That was something I had swapped around. She was main deck. I think once I moved her main, or once I moved her side, I should have considered that. Ooh, that's a lot of Teferis. Ooh, that's a lot of Teferis. All right, well, we'll just play a land and pass here. They do not. Sam. I just can't reveal it game 2 if I bring in Elish Norn. Hopefully a land here. No land is fortunately going to be a little sign of weakness, potentially. The weakness of not having a land. They shock. Yep. Oh boy. No good. No good. Well, I'll use a binding on that. Since I was gonna have to discard anyways. Land. Lovely. I'm gonna let this resolve. I have this verdict in my hand. If I find another land, I can toss it out. They're going to go for a Teferi. I'm going to go for a counterspell. They're going to counter back and resolve their Teferi. I then hopefully... Oh, interesting. They don't defend their Teferi. Land? Do you find a land? Now I probably can just resolve a Teferi. I throw out my first one, can't prevent it. Throw out my second one. Like, they're going to probably counter this, and then I just play another Teferi, and I bounce their Solitude. Not the best spot in the world. You know, they could have binding or whatever. They go for their big Teferi, then I can slam my big Teferi. If they down tick on my Teferi and don't have another land, it means they probably don't have counterspell. Now I can go big Teferi. Boop, 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 boop. My big Teferi. Taki, your big Teferi. Right? If they have binding here, this is really bad. They, like, get rid of my binding and then... No, I'm still going to tuck theirs. Hope they don't have binding. I have Solitude, so it's not the end of the world. Where are my Snapcasters? I don't have any good spells to snap back. I wish I did. Main phase their Memory Deluge. Okay. They find a binding off that. Oh man. Turn just comes back. Love that. Nice. We find our own hall. That's really big. And another 3-mana Teferi. Alright. Teferi. Probably found a counterspell off Deluge. Play other Teferi. Hall. Untap 2 lands. Now they draw their 5-mana Teferi, right? Sure. I should have down-ticked with that one. I should have down-ticked with that one. Wara's not terrible. Let's like go. Yep, I have Rainbow. It's interesting. It gives you an edge against exactly the control mirror, which I think is not very popular. I think it's pretty poor in most other spots. Non-typed lands come at a pretty big cost because of leyline binding. That's a very slow engine, and Modern is, you know, pretty quick. I think overall it's pretty awkward. I kind of like playing a Solitude here. Maybe I don't because of their Hall. Maybe I like Otawara. I'm not even sure I like that. Maybe I do. Setting them a turn back on their Teferi is not terrible. I don't like my chances of connecting with my Hall. I'm just getting more and more turns with my Teferi in play. Though my Teferi is not being super kind to me. But yeah, Shark's definitely an interesting one. I just I don't think we're in like a meta where that's a good effect right now. They have another Deluge. Nice. They're kind of crushing me on cards here. Into the hall, or into the castle. They're in a really good spot. I mean, you can put it in. You can put Jace in this deck like no problem, Bolus. It's like a fine card. You can put it in. You can put that in. You can put Emperor in. You can put whatever in. It doesn't really matter. Like the win condition, like, you know, you can shove a lot of like weird stuff in the win condition spot. All right, so it resolved. Emperor's better. I've been playing Jace. I don't have it in this particular build, but I've been playing Jace more often than Emperor. They evoke their own solitude. Okay. Sure. They found a counter spell. Another Archmage's Charm. Okay. I'll pass. It's probably game now. Why no Kahira? I talked about that a little bit earlier. It was a little bit of a mistake. I previously had Elesh Norn main deck, which meant I could not have Kahira as the companion. I made a swap, and I forgot to add Kahira back to the sideboard. No, I can't, because I have black and green both here, so I can't actually prismatic for 5. Oh, I can if I get the breeding pool. The rare... What, I tap for fucking double green? Yeah. The rare prismatic for 5. Wait, it's already on 5, right? X is currently 4 plus white. I don't know why I struggled so hard to cast that there. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next game. Take out my verdicts, bring in vetoes, take out my chalice, bring a really awkward fluster. Fluster's not particularly good in this matchup. Dress downs are pretty bad too. Burning Seas is kind of, I guess, a little bit better. Norn is interesting. I'm gonna try the Norn. She's not great here, but you know, she turns off their bindings, turns off their solitudes. She's okay. All right. This hand has a lot of hand and spells, so she'll be like, you know, difficult to resolve. She can't be vetoed, which is kind of cool. Fortunately, they played a fetch land on turn 1, which means no, I can't just like cycle my Spreading Seas here. Would have been nice to see either a Triome or a utility land there. Unfortunately, it's fetch land into the Triome. So there you go. Our bindings are definitely awkward with this hand. I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 cards. Looks like they missed their land drop on 2, which is pretty big. I'm going to try to capitalize on that. They do have 8 cards in hand, so this does just like give them a window to cast a counterspell rather than discarding, but I still think it's fine to do it. I shouldn't have played my land first, but I am just going to go ahead and Spreading Seas here. Say go. My hand's terrible. This configuration is really not suited well for like a blue-white control mirror. Unfortunately. I'm gonna make the same play. This time I have, you know, Flusher to back it up though. We both have kind of awkward mana situations, it appears. That might have been worth a fluster with them missing land drops. That was probably worth a fluster. Wow, they miss again. Now they have to discard 2 cards. That was probably worth a fluster. I should have thought about that longer. They discard 3 mana to Variant Solitude. Okay. I'm just going to pass. Counterspell's a good pickup. By not flustering that spell, if I do find some action, it will potentially help me resolve that action, especially with them being constrained on lands. I'm going to Spreading Seas their Steam Vents. Nice, okay. Just keep the cards flowing. Hopefully keep the lands coming. Nice. Opponent's giving me some salt in the chat. We'll say go. Discarding a Prismatic Ending. They're going to counter my Deluge. I'm just going to let that resolve. Can I grab my 2 Triumphs here? Fine, just letting that resolve. I have flash it back next turn. I think I'm actually happy to trade a counterspell here. I don't know if they can afford to counter over this, tap low, and then, yeah. Because if they fight over that, I am threatening to then resolve like a Walker or something, and if they don't fight over it, well, then I find my Walker, and I actually have a ton of mana, so I'd then be able to play and defend it with counterspells. I think that's a reasonable spot for them to have conceded there. Why not play the ring? It's $400 for a playset. Okay. I cannot afford to spend $400 on a playset of a card right now. It's not rentable. You have to purchase them. They are out of my budget. By a wide, wide margin. Alright. Our mana's looking good. Their mana's looking good. Just play our planes here. We get to filter them to blue-blue with our Mystic 8. We've got our Veto, which is always nice. I'm not going to use my Archmage's Charm yet. Just say go. If they go for a Deluge, I'll counter that, knowing that I have the veto. Oops. This is a little bit of a punish for not going for, sure. Yeah, clearly they also have awkward. They also have awkward cards that they have in their main deck still. This probably isn't something I should be doing. I want a density of lands in my deck. Land. Nice. We'll say go. A punish for not using the Archmage's Charm the previous turn. While I would have had to discard a card, it gives me 2 draws and a land. I have 1 more land drop, but I don't have that next land drop. And then if they cast something that I need to counterspell, then I'm not going to be able to Archmage's Charm that following turn. So, just making sure that I like get to that point where I can do this. You know, making sure I am able to find my land drops is just really important. Like right here, I am missing. Just gonna pitch a prismatic ending here. I feel pretty good with a double veto in my hand. If they're missing their land drops again. If I could just find my land drops, we should be in a good spot. There's definitely like some things they can draw that would you know, play well around these vetoes or whatever, and could put me in a bad spot. Oh man, this is rough. I mean, they're missing them too, but this is definitely rough. I could shove a 3-mana Teferi here. I don't really like doing that. I'm just gonna go get rid of Binding. Honestly, I think I get rid of Binding. It's really hard for them to resolve anything through what I have here. If they just pass back, I'm gonna shove a Solitude end step. One said we are cursed. Said we are beyond cursed. They're gonna pitch Solitude here to kill my Solitude on their end step. Yeah, we truly are cursed here. This is a very cursed match. Oh, that's a good that's a good break the curse spell here. They still have not broken the curse. This one is good at breaking it. They have a Fluster. Okay. I don't want to just like jam 3-mana Teferi into a veto. Land. Nice. I will send back. They have broken the curse as well. They are not afraid of veto. Nope. Sorry, I used the wrong mana there. Draw me cards. Take cards, make them into more cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, like, hear me out. They can't veto this. They could counterspell it, and I would just let that resolve. But they can't veto it. I could counterspell this, but then they could resolve it to Teferi. So I don't like doing that. Elvish Norn's a sick card, but not one that I'm going to fight those resources over. Say go, I get to end step Deluge. Looks like they have end step Deluge or Archmages. Sure. back to having a handful of Teferis. Unfortunately, this is the game I lost when I had all these Teferis. They have another 3-mana Teferi. They have Jace the Mind Sculptor. Gonna veto that one. Well, I can shove double Teferi here. They could like fire up Hall. Hey, what's up, Wendy? Like, obviously that was a pretty good turn for me, but they can pretty feasibly break this up. Looks like a prismatic ending on the 3-mana Teferi. Sure. Do they have a follow-up to kill the big Teferi? That would leave them with mana open? They do. I can throw the same play back. They have 3 cards in hand. With a counterspell now? I like that. Now I'm going to go send this back with a counterspell to counter it. Yep. Or a binding to get rid of it is now probably what I would do. Alright, well, we take the mirror. That was tough. I think bouncing that binding was fine with the counterspell in my hand. Things were a little tricky with the Hall of the Storm Giants there. I have my own that can be defensive, and with my 3-mana Teferi in play, they can't interact once, you know, if they go to combat, I get to animate it. I would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd be able to animate it and have counterspell up there. But yeah, you can see like control, the way control has to be configured right now, control is not a popular matchup. So we have like a bunch of really awkward cards that we have to leave still in the deck. We're not able to like remove the dead stuff. So like Hallowed Moonlight is literally 2-mana draw a card. You know, similarly, like I had, you know, Spreading Seas is kind of similar. That one actually has like a bit of text on it. Castle is present. You saw Castle was present in their deck. It's actually a pretty reasonable way to interact with Hall of the Storm Giants. We have a lot of like ancillary little things that could clear it if we need to free up our lands, like, you know, Prismatic Ending. Not that that feels good, but we're just like not prepped to play against other control players, so they get like really scrappy and funky though that matchup. Chalices are bad. You know, Solitudes aren't great. Dress Downs are bad. Verdicts are bad. We have like just a lot of cards that are meh, and we don't have a lot of stuff on the board. There's like some splash stuff that's really meant to be for like Cascade and whatnot, like the vetoes and all that. There, you know, or creativity that'll have some text in a control matchup, but really not much. Yep, that is where Shark Loop does shine in that exact matchup, and it is a very unpopular matchup, and I think it's generally pretty bad in most other situations. In the like scenarios where blue-white gets popular, which happens every once in a while, when blue-white gets popular, that is a really interesting mirror breaker, is Shark plus Hall. If the opponent does not have that, and you have it and find it, you win, like almost assuredly. It is so hard for Control to break that up because we aren't playing things like Field of Ruin anymore. Most people are not playing Spreading Seas, so interacting with Hall is really tough, and interacting with uncounterable cantripping sharks every turn is tough too. So, No room for Castle of Vantress. You can, but I have opted to have cleaner mana for Leyline Binding. I think Leyline Binding is really powerful, and every non-typed land that you play comes at a pretty steep cost because of it. So I think Castle is fine. I think Blue-White's very customizable. If you want to play Jace, you want to play Castle, you want to play Emperor, there's all kinds of different stuff you can play, and just play the one that you like playing. They all just kind of do different things in different matchups, and, you know, do you want to be better for binding, or do you want to have more utility in your lands? Do you want to have cleaner mana, or, you know, greedier, more powerful mana? There's all kinds of decisions you can make with Blue-White. It's really customizable right now. It's not a top-tier deck at the moment. I think it has a lot of pretty rough matchups, but if you do want to play it, I think you have some versatility in how you want to build it. There's a lot of viable options right now. There's a lot of viable options right now. All right, we're playing against what looks to be like the 15 land living end deck right now. They got some new cyclers that have specific land cycling, so they get to play less lands, and you know, there's some pretty scary threats attached to them. And they get to guarantee their land drops. We do have a Teferi, but we lost the die roll, so we're on the draw, so it's not fast enough, presumably. Our best draw here would be a Counterspell or a Chalice. Anything else is pretty bad. They did search for this breeding pool. Both of their Cascaders take green. So if I Spreading Seas their breeding pool, and they don't have another green source, then they cannot, they potentially cannot Cascade. So I'm going to go ahead and hit their breeding pool. They F6 there. That tells me that they probably don't have force or just weren't thinking about it. So if they are not able to Outburst here, then I have my Teferi. I'm not going to do the Solitude pitch to like get a Solitude back right now. I'm just going to go ahead and play a Teferi and bounce the end. Oh, lovely. I'm going to go... This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Teferi, and I'm going to Teferi up. Now I'm going to give them the opportunity to fuck up and attack Teferi with the End instead of the Riverwinder. And then I'm going to Verdict to clear their board. If they attack the End here, then I'm actually going to pitch Solitude and then have Verdict to clear this, and then have Teferi to prevent further, you know, things. Okay. They make the right play. But I do think that's what I was supposed to do with it. We let that happen. And we gotta hope they don't have another Cascader. Chalice would be a really good draw here. We don't find a Chalice. Go ahead and cast a Verdict. This time, if they do... what are they doing? They're going to pick up their Riverwinder. Sure. Sure. That's interesting use of that. Not going to F6 here. I may need to do some solituding. Okay, if they're doing this and then fetching, it means they're probably doing another Cascader. Our matchup gets a lot better post board. You know, game one, it's pretty rough. These are all, yeah, you know what? Pitching Solitude here against this is not particularly good, right? They chose to not cast Living End. Did it just reveal their whole deck? Their living ends are in their hand. Now we've got an interesting game. They are in the hard cast my threats portion of the game. So I'm going to just play a Solitude here. No, I want them to think I have a counterspell to be able to counter their thing. I am just going to actually take this hit. I can Solitude double block on the... That's why they picked it up. Wow, that is why they picked it up. They're going to play the Striped Riverwinder. I just need you to be able to beat this, and I have double Solitude, which should. And now they're floating all their mana and passing. Alright. I'm going to cast a Solitude. It might have been better to just Memory Deluge, and then they just concede. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what's going on. Dovin's Vetoes, Chalice, Flusters, Moonlights, Rips, all coming in. Like I said, our matchup gets better post-board. We're going to take out the Prismatic Endings, the Dress Downs, the Spreading Seas. We need to make 2 more cuts. It's supposed to be probably in this department. Let's see. They did draw the living ends, yeah. They went to start hard casting threats though, and then just passed with their mana up. Very playable in this day and age. He's fine. You know, he's fine. I think I'll cut 2 bindings. I mean, if you're going to play Blue-Eye Control, you're probably going to play 5 mana Teferi. You could take, like, the Wafo route, not do that, and, you know, have 3 mana Teferi be your only walker. We're going to keep this hand. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. It's an option, I should say. So I have some options myself here. I can cast Chalice of the Void right now. If I cast it right now, it gives them the smallest window to have Force of Negation. I can't wait until 3 mana, because if I wait until 3 mana where I would have to Teferi, they would be able to respond by violently outbursting. If I hold it in my hand, it gives them more time to find Force Negation and gives them the ability to draw Grief to take it out of my hand. If I wait until next turn, I give myself the option to draw one of my 8 counter spells that are protected from Force of Negation, unless they have 2 mana open. Fluster doesn't count, but Fluster, Dovin's Veto, and Counterspell. I'm going to opt to just play it here, but there is merit on like waiting until turn 2. Gives them more time to find Force Negation, gives them the chance to grief it, but gives me a chance to draw a counterspell to protect it if they do have the Force. And they do have the Force, unfortunately. Teferi being 3 mana on the draw is often not fast enough, so they do have it. They didn't mulligan. They have 4 cards in hand. It's not super likely that they're going to hit their lands. Yeah, see, they missed their land drop. So this gives us a window to hopefully find a land drop before they find theirs. Now our Teferi can come down fast enough. They are playing a low land count version of the deck because they have the land cyclers now. They have a lot of free cyclers. Let's see if they find it here. They had 2 draw sips since the last. They don't. We get a land here. We look really good. Land. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just slam the Teferi. They may have another Force. They do. That's fine. They do find their land. Hey, what's up, Donnie? How are you? Have you considered the most recently released The One Ring for your control deck? I have considered it. It is currently sitting at $100 per copy. My rental service, great draw. My rental service does not offer them as an object to be rented at the moment, and I do not have the funds to to purchase $400 worth of digital cardboard, nor do I have the desire to. So we are waiting, patiently waiting. The opponent shocks, says go. I'm not going to Archmages then. Nice. Just building up more and more resistance. More and more resistance to them comboing. Actually, I'm with this now with the hollowed. I'm not sure what they could have here that would both get rid of my Chalice on their turn and allow them to combo. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw. I'm not sure what they could have, honestly. I'm just gonna cast my cards here. I don't think I'm meant to hold things up. Sure. More and more and more and more resistance. With this resolving, they're pretty shut out of that being their game plan. I want to take the counter spell. So, like, by playing Rest in Peace, they are on, I have to start hard casting things. If they're on, I have to start hard casting things, I want to have my, like, bulkier, just one-for-one counter spells, because they're going to have to be deploying things at sorcery speed, and just, like, I just put counter. Now my Binding and my Solitude become a lot better in my hand. Yeah, okay. Good stuff. $100 digital objects, NFTs are back in the menu. Yeah, they sure do feel like that. They're very, very expensive, and like I said, I've yet to actually see them in play. I'm skeptical that that's what we want to be doing in like blue-white control. I feel like if I'm playing the One Ring, I want to be able to offset the life more. I want Omnaths or whatever. I don't know. But it's weird because it's like fighting with the spot with Omnath. People are saying the card is completely insane. I just don't have an opinion on it yet because I haven't seen it do its thing yet. Maybe it's completely insane. It's a hard card to evaluate. It does look like it has a lot of potential, but it also looks like it comes at a big cost. I think it does not look good in control. I'm seeing people try it though, so I have no idea, if I'm being fully honest. I do want to try it, but for me to try it, I gotta wait until it is rentable. All right, let me use the restroom. I'll be right back, and we'll keep playing this league. Alrighty. 2-1 so far. Taking down Living End and the Mirror, losing to Red-White Convoke. You hate Grumpy Wizard Lady? Dude, that is a game that I need to play on stream one day. One day where I'm just needing nostalgia and want to stream it. I gotta play some Torrance Passage. That was one of the first computer games I ever played. My first, like, gaming experiences, well, other than things like, you know, I guess I played, like, Freddy the Fish and stuff like that when I was really little, but Torrance Passage, Diablo 2, and RuneScape were very big for me. And then eventually World of Warcraft when I was a little kid. Like, these were the first, like, games that really got me on the computer. But man, Torrance Passage. Oh, and Neverhood, but that one is like Torrance Passage is bizarre. Neverhood is like very bizarre. Still no ring board. We played the Mirror. It looked like they didn't have it. Dude, I'm playing Diablo 2 now. I was playing it before stream. I am like hooked on Diablo 2 right now. I booted up D2R, the remastered version, and I have just been having so much fun playing it in little chunks of my free time. So much fun with that game. I just made my first couple rune words. I'm getting ready to fight Baal. I'm working through Act 5 right now. I'm just on the first difficulty. I'm having so much fun. I was doing Countess runs, yeah. I was doing but only in the first, like, literally first tier, just doing Countess runs to try to get some rune words together. I reset my talents and kind of did, like, a scuffed build that's making the game a lot harder. So I'm trying to supplement some of that with some powerful equipment. First game I played was some kind of obscure South Park Frogger clone where you had to make Kenny cross the road. Oh man, that was the first game you played. So if this is a big if, you want to lose some matches after this league, I have 3 lists to choose from. Dealer's choice. Borg, today I'm gonna be an open book with you. Today, I'm in a crummy mood. My back's killing me. I don't know. I tweaked my shoulder and neck and back, and I'm just like in pain. And I don't like being in that mindset and doing somebody's dono. And then, like, I'm a cranky bitch during their dono. You know? I want to be my happy, peppy, normal self. Maybe I wouldn't use the words happy and peppy to describe my normal self, but I want to be my normal self when doing a dono because that's way more fun. So if you got another day, like Thursday, I've got Elk coming on the stream. But if you want to pick like literally any other day, I'll be better. I'll be better. Like you pick like literally any other day. I just don't want to be like a sour douche, you know? Like today, dude, I don't even know. Today, I'm all jacked up. That's why I started late. Today, I don't think I can stream very long. I'm a mess right now. We'll see. We'll see how we're doing. Here it comes. Here it comes. We found him. Target acquired. Well, we're the target. We're dead. Well, this is going to sting. Next turn, I'm going to cast a 2-drop, and they are going to cast a 7-drop. If they do not have a payoff, this chalice is potent. If they kept a hand that assembles Tron and then has a bunch of chromatic stars, then they probably would have played one last turn. No, they wouldn't have, because then they wouldn't have been able to crack a map. So if they have a hand that is a bunch of redrawing here and does not actually have the threats, what you got? This is going to be our first time seeing the ring. Perhaps a 3-mana Karn, maybe a 7-mana Karn. Ah, the classic. Lovely. The opponent is a classic Tron gamer. All right, vetoes. Yikes! I'm going to tell you right now. I am not about to win this match. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I put "Please Don't Tron Me" in the title for a reason. I will not be winning this match. It's like, what am I mulliganing for? I don't know. I guess spreading Z's, but realistically, I don't know. I'm going to cast 2 Chalice of the Voids and then go to the next match. This is not a deck that is going to compete against Tron right now. And unfortunately, there's a lot of Tron right now. People excited about Tron plus the One Ring. So I've heard. That's the word on the street. Chalice here, turning off their spheres, turning off their ancient stirrings, their maps. They have natural Tron, it doesn't matter. Sylvan Scrying. Perhaps. There it is. And we're dead. Well, I've got this Archmage's Charm. I can counter their first thing. Counter their first thing. It's pretty good. This feels familiar. Except this time I'm ready. Aha! They're going to wilt. I think this is worth a counterspell. If they are able to just open up all their 1-drops, they get to just keep going until they find a threat. If I protect this Chalice, they have to naturally draw their threats. Which they don't have any. Look at that. Ah! And we just keep drawing them. I'm going to choose to draw a card right away here. There's some reasons to not do that, but I'm going to do that. This art's really cool. I like this chalice. Oh! That's a huge issue. They still don't have a threat, though. I need to find, like, 5 mana to vary this second. Like, literally this exact moment. Now, which I already have failed to do. But now, I guess, maybe I have one more shot. It has to be, like, to ferry into another counterspell if they present a threat here. They are presenting a threat here. And it is at least 7 mana, so they're going to be triggering Sanctum. So now I need, like, to ferry into Archmage's Charm to be my deck stacked up. They went, floated 7 mana, and then passed. I'm going to do this little maneuver known as thinning the deck. This is a dangerous maneuver. I don't recommend it. Don't attempt this at home. Oh. Wow. Whoa. They had Ulamog and had to count. They had to count how much mana Tron produces. Do you think they're not aware that that's 7? We're going to draw some cards here. They only had 9, so yeah. Right, but I'm saying you think that this opponent needed to tap their 3 Tron lands to see that that is 7 mana. There's only 2 other lands. I'm going to give the opponent more credit than that. Personally. Do I break up Tron or do I disable Sanctum of Ugin? That's really interesting. I'm going to disable Tron, though. The reason being, everyone thinks the opponent is apparently a fool and can't count this amount of mana without tapping them, and that Ulamog's in their hand. So I feel like I'm supposed to take them off of Ulamog now. So now they both can't cast their draw spells and also can't cast most of their payoffs. That's a payoff they can cast. Come on. 5 mana to vary. I would have accepted an Archmage's Charm, a Memory Deluge, anything that drew me cards, really. I have more mana than the Tron opponent right now. They drew another tower. Alright. Well, they have Ulamog. This is it now. Everyone was pretty sure they had Ulamog, so it looks like they have Ulamog. Jesus Christ, were they really having to tap those lands to count? Oh, opponent. I'm so sorry. Can't counter this trigger or this trigger. Handsome. These are the two problematic parts of the card. Yeah, I can counter this. I'm still getting absolutely ranched here. It is. No, it is. It's the fact that there's another one now, and they have just unlocked all the 1/1s. The point, this is not the part I'm scared of. We have like a lot of things that answer this. I can't answer those other ones. I can't answer the other two factors. I've answered the other factors. Now they're just going to play all their cantripping things, though. So. Their hand is like literally 7 maps, baubles, ancient stirrings. It's 7 of those. Because I can't imagine, like Ulamog was the other thing in their hand. It's probably 6 or 7 of them, yeah. Well, you did just sack a land, opponent, so you don't have to... Dude, it really was them counting that. It really was that. It dead ass was that. They get a worm coil engine. Okay. That's really surprising. It's really surprising that it was actually... Sure. Play 2 1-drops. Play 1-drop and crack it. We know their hand is full of these. Yeah. I'm just going to move on. I know they have this Ulamog in hand. I just don't have the tools to win that match. I could have just conceded when it started, to be honest. Like, I literally don't have the tools to win that match, I don't think. Again, hence the title. Alright, let's see if we can get a 3-2 here. We lost to Tron, and we lost to like red-white convoke. Um. Awkward hand. A little bit of an awkward hand, especially on the draw. On the draw, having a hand where like you don't have anything on turn 1, and your turn 2 play is a counterspell. I can't get binding online. Yeah, but then I got Teferi's. All right, I'm gonna keep it. Jamir's Garden. So, you probably hear me typing on the side. I'm discussing in a group chat that I have Final Fantasy 16 stuff and how excited I am about it. And Donnie's in that group chat and he's like, are you going to play Final Fantasy 16 now on stream? And I'm thinking I just might. Maybe I will. That game just keeps getting better and better. I've been playing it off stream and it's been so much fun. Alright, the fact they have not presented anything yet is huge for us. Super, super huge for us. I'm going to shock in the Hollow Fountain. That gives me the option of Leyline Binding or Counterspell. Definitely looks like creativity. Yeah, that Final Fantasy is so good. The only thing is I've been playing it a lot off stream, so if I play it for anybody that was like watching the first stream, like whatever, there's gonna be like a shit ton of spoilers. So like I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it. Like I said, I'm kind of in a mindset today. This was key that we get to counter this. That card would have buried us. Who cares about this one? It does kind of line up like you just like, man, I'm in a pretty bad mood today. Who gives a shit? Whatever. Not just going to slam Teferi here. I'm going to pass with Archmage's Charm. Counter something if I have to, or draw cards if I don't. I'll think about it. I'm either going to like just dip because I'm feeling like garbage, or I'll play some of that. Another Fable? Teferi Vomit. Alright, I'm going to use an Archmage's Charm to be a little more mana efficient, but there's a reasonable chance they have Spell Pierce there. They don't. No Pierce is big. Draw a land would be big. You have the Dwarf Creativity. That would have been nice. It'd give us a Solitude. I'm just going to have to pass here. We're way up on cards. That's pretty funny, Archon. Yeah, if they do happen to go for a creativity, like a loose creativity, and I get to go for the Archmage's Charm Steel, then I get to creativity and put a Solitude into play. I don't have the Elishnorn, unfortunately. If they go for an X's 2, I just need to counter it, though. Need a keyboard without... You mean without sound? You're right. You are right. I've been thinking about investing in getting a silent, as silent as I can get it, keyboard, and mouse for that matter. I think I'm safe to just verdict here. Chances of them having like another creativity, and they have 2 cards in hand. I think I can verdict. This is like a big point here. What I do this turn. I'm gonna go for verdict, clear the tokens, and then like try to slam Teferi plus have a 5th land drop. Just hope they don't like slam one here, and if they do, I potentially could recover. Really want to find a land drop right on top here. Okay. Teferi's not the worst. I think I do play the Teferi and down tick if he resolves. If he gets spell pierced, he gets spell pierced. Sure. Ooh, I could do that, Band Wedge. You can buy dampeners if your keyboard will accept them. I have like a pretty standard like steel series. We got crushed by Tron. Yeah, no surprise. Land. I'll put a chalice on one here. Messes with bolt, messes with future spell pierces. Alright, they have another dwarf now. Getting that 5th land drop to have the 2nd mana post Teferi is so big because it gives me both counterspell and leyline binding post Teferi. One or the other, but like it's pretty uncomfortable to play a Teferi out of those, you know. Right now, I guess I have counterspell plus leyline binding because I probably shouldn't jam, and I probably should not have jammed it the turn that I did. That gets a counterspell for me. Come on, land. Alright, cool. So this can get Triome, and then this can... this can binding off of this being a Triome, so now I'm just going to get Teferi down, and then this Teferi down, which would then be able to untap. I'm going to uptick. I actually could downtick here. Maybe they're playing Fire and Ice, so upticking is a little bit safer. I don't have to worry about them lightning bolting because I have the Chalice. Fire and Ice is sometimes in these decks, though. They're going to binding. Sure. I'm not going to binding their binding, I don't think, because right now that's my only defense against them having a creativity. I could binding, and then I have instant speed verdict, but that's only if I don't deploy 5 mana Teferi. I think I like grabbing Triome, playing Teferi, having binding up, and knowing that they're pretty much their only main deck counterspell interaction is Spell Pierce, and they can't cast that with the Chalice. So I'll get Triome, slam Teferi. Pretty confident it'll resolve. I'll play a land first, it's fine. I don't know if it really matters. Maybe it matters in a negative way, like I could Shocking. Haha. Okay. They have a Spell Pierce here. Oh, fuck. With this on the stack, I should have gotten my Teferi back. Okay, wait. I still can? They're trying to Spell Pierce this. They're going to Spell Pierce it now. I fucked that up. With the binding on the stack, I should have done it. I fucked that up. But now they don't even have, like, a dude in play. I'm just going to fucking binding this. That's what I needed to do, though. I could add it to Teferi in play here. When they went to go... I just let it slip through too quickly. When they went to go target my thing, it was obvious what their play was, and I should have just gotten my Teferi in play, and then that just, like, throws that whole play in the garbage. They would need fetch land plus creativity here. Ren would actually suck. Looks like they just have another binding. Okay. I wish I just, like, slowed down there a little bit and caught that line. Okay, they have no cards in hand and nothing that they could creativity if they drew a creativity, so I think they have much better top decks than I do. But I have some that would be alright. That falls into the alright category. It's defensive. I don't have a lot of offensive cards I could draw. They have many more offensive cards they could draw. I'm looking for... Solitude's not bad. Solitude's not bad. I don't think I want to just jam it, because that is like, you know, a way to interact with creativity. And it would make sense that they would have, like, bolts, maybe, as, like, things floating around in their hand right now. And I wouldn't want to, like, Solitude to kill nothing, plus play my one counterspell to protect it. That wouldn't feel very good. But using it as a piece to interact with creativity, I think would be good. Or if they maybe, like, hard cast an Archon, I mean, I'd probably just counter that, but... Yeah, I really wish I saw that line. This is worth countering to me. Well, they're not just one off of casting, right? They're one black off of casting it, which is even harder to present. Deluge is such a good draw here. That is a huge, huge draw. Knowing that their interaction again is Spell Pierce. So I know this resolves. Six, seven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I actually want to crack both of these. Because I want to be able to flashback that Deluge and pay for Spell Pierce. Just going to send back again. Their own Teferi is like the scariest card here, I think. Hey, thank you for the follow. Just gonna go Binding Island. Dress Down's kind of funny. Yeah, Seize the Black Source is actually also kind of interesting. Dude, I hate Leyline Binding mirrors. Leyline Binding on Leyline Binding and Leyline Binding on Chalice and Leyline Binding on Teferi. Teferi Leyline Binding mirrors, man. They probably have another Leyline Binding mirror. Yep, here it is. Yeah. Now I'm going to go on their end step, Leyline Binding, their Leyline Binding to get back my Teferi, and then Hardcast a Solitude and start attacking. Probably, potentially picking up my Solitude with the Teferi, but again, I guess Lightning Bolt's like a thing. I think I do this, though. Good draw. Now they're out of bindings. Why not respond to the trigger? I want to do it on the end step. I could have saved a loyalty or whatever, but I want to make... If I do it in response to the trigger, then they then have a main phase to deal with my... to interact with my Teferi. I kind of don't even care about my Teferi, though, is the thing. Like, this is fine. They're fighting really hard over the Teferi, and they don't have counterspells. Like, that doesn't... Like, that Teferi doesn't actually matter that much against them. It's more like their Teferis are scary. I really wish if I could get one more set of damage in with that Solitude, that would let me like cross the line with a haul to win. They find it. Surely they're gonna hardcast one here. I'm just gonna counter it. Just gonna hold on to this because it's feasible that they have another one in their hand, and I don't want those to resolve. Hey, what's up, Merc? How you doing? It's going all right. Spreading Seas is not a terrible draw. It does take them off of being able to hardcast Archons now. Or it makes it more difficult. They usually only, I think, have 2 black sources. There we go. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Okay. I just need to make sure that when I go for this, if they have double Spell Pierce in their hand, I could pay for it. There's already 2 in their graveyard, so they couldn't have more than 2. And we are genuinely at that point of the game where I need to make sure. It's too big to vary a bit light. Nah. I probably wouldn't want to play more than him. More than 2. I think playing a 3rd win condition Planeswalker is fine. I probably wouldn't do 3 big to vary. I'd probably diversify, maybe play a Jace or an Emperor or whatever. I tapped Tron for this. I assume they're not going to be able to punish it, but I did tap Tron for this. I gotta bolt this. It's fine. I'm not Discord, but I also haven't played it yet. I have no formed opinion yet on it. So I have 2 Solitudes left in my deck. There's one of them. I gotta start, like, making sure I have a way to win this game. Chalice is a good pickup. I guess, no, they probably can't deal with this. Maybe they have a Viseju, but they probably can't deal with this. And if they can't deal with this, they probably can't deal with the Solitude. And I can probably kill them now. You'd like to try some Bowmaster. It's an interesting card. I don't think it's positioned very well in Modern, but it's interesting for sure. I did get beaten up by it one time, but they had 4 copies, like all 4 in play. But yeah, I think it's an interesting card. I just don't think there's like a ton of actual draw. Like, you know, the draw spell of this format is generally is usually EI. So. It's like not actually drawing cards. I'd like to buy my haul at some point. Make things a little easier. Just don't care about this Ren. I'm not trying to alt this Teferi. I'm trying to kill them with this Solitude. Hold on. The Stream Decker might have left the channel. There you go. You know, look at this deck list for context. Don't look at it for, like, you should play this deck list. I'm just experimenting with different stuff. The format's in, like, kind of a funky spot right now, and I'm not exactly sure how to approach it with blue-white. Like, I'm not going to let Ren alt, but they should be dead by then anyways. That would be dangerous. Not quite doing that. You're in your end step, so you can just pass now. There's a Teferi in play. That's a clean way to deal with it and not have to use one of my bindings. I'll just uptick here again. Then again, that is a clean way to just like kill the... But they only have one dwarf left, so they don't really want to use it on that. I don't know. They're dead. They've definitely lost this game at this point. They're just like, I don't know, playing towards clock or something, but they're a minute up on me. I just need to play a little quickly. This is game one, yeah. You can always see in the bottom, yeah, they're just playing towards time. You can always see in the bottom right. They're like doing weird things with priority and whatnot, like holding it in weird spots. I don't know what they're doing. Sure. Casting a bolt into Chalice and then conceding. Yep. I don't think that wasn't them trying to like cheese time there. I think they just genuinely forgot about Chalice. Hollowed Moonlight is one of our better answers to creativity. I actually like the Chalices in this matchup. I'm going to cut down to a single verdict. Spreading Seas is funny, but I need the room. I don't think I play it. Elish Norn turns off their bindings. They are playing Teferi's to interact with her, though. They turn off the ETB from Archon, and they turn and it turns off their bindings. It is a sick thing to have in the deck. If I ever have like the Archmage's Charm to steal their thing when they're going to creativity, it gives me like a really powerful thing to potentially flip into. Dress downs are okay. They're not stellar. I don't think I want dress downs. I think I want vetoes instead of dress downs. I don't want the Archon to hit the field, period. I don't think that this is where I want to be to like prevent that. Like everything else is in here to like stop that from happening in the first place. I like the Chalices. I don't think I need to go to 3 Chalices, but having 2 I think is fine. Like Chalice on 1 is actually like it's pretty potent against them. C seems good against a deck that wants to have 4 mountains in play, so why not? So in order to play C's, in order for that to be like relevant, I need to play it early. And if I'm playing it on 2, when they're on the play, they have a slew of very, very powerful 3-drops that would then be able to resolve. So if I'm doing that to just mess with their mana, then they go Fable the Mirror Breaker, and I fall way behind. Or they go 3-mana Teferi, and I fall way behind. While like in theory I think Spreading Seas, what it does is relevant, I don't think that most games, especially on the draw, I'm going to have the window to cast it when it would be effective. Can you gamble? If a mod wants to set it up quickly, yeah. It's really like finding a window to resolve that is the hard part. Dude, I'm going to hit him with a 61. That's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. Hit him with a 61. The lucky 61. Here. See if it'll let me easily do it. There you go. All right, opening hand is not particularly good against creativity if they just go like red and 6, Fable, you know? I mean, it's okay. I can get rid of the red and 6 and then like, think, well, you know what? Fuck it. Actually, it's fine. It's not great. I just hope they don't have Fable, basically. Fable, I can't cleanly answer. I'll fall behind on that card. It's a good draw. Okay, looks like they do have the Wren. Really the only 2-drop that they would have. If we lose, it's going to be on time. I'm not going to lose this to time. The only way I lose this to time is if my computer ends up getting really slow or something. Powerful draw. I'm just going to pass now. They're going to get some turns with Ren. Potentially a mistake because they're showing me this Dwarven Mine is their first land drop, which means their hand might be land light and I might just be like totally unlocking their hand, but wow, they're upticking without cracking. I like that. I'm going to hold off one more turn here, holding up Dovin's Veto, and then I'm going to go for a Prismatic Ending with Veto up. In fact, I actually might just go for crack land, go for a binding end step here. I don't love binding a Ren when I have Prismatic Ending, and Prismatic Ending doesn't have a ton of other targets. No, I probably just want a Prismatic Ending. Here's the Fable, definitely just going to veto this. And we need to hope they don't have Veil. Feels like they do, being that they didn't play it last turn. Hope they don't. Okay, that's huge. Huge. It does mean... Could mean that they have Pierce. I'm just going to say go, play a tapped land. Again, giving them a Ren situation, but oh, you know what? You know what? I should have shocked. I should have shocked here. Giving myself, since I have the 1 mana binding plus Archmage's Charm, I think would have been much more effective here. Well, hopefully they don't do a lot of stuff this turn. They can't go for a creativity for 2, with that being their fetching. I'm going to go for binding here on Ren, especially with it at 7, and this lets me play around Spell Pierce. Okay. Okay. I don't like the card deficit here. Them being at 7 is scary. They're going to go for a binding. That's fine. I was worried about Ren alting. I'm not worried about Ren otherwise at this point. I have this Prismatic Ending that I can use like at my, I'll find another window to do that. That is not a point I want to fight over. I actually don't hate just using a Solitude here. I know it looks a little bit weird, but I think it's fine to just like jam Solitude, kill their Dwarf, pressure their Ren, potentially, this is fine. Not have to use a card. Like if I can deal with like 2 things, they have a Bolt, that's fine. They have a Binding. Sure. Actually, don't hate having a Solitude under a binding. If I find one of my own bindings, that potentially gives me an interesting way to stop their junk. I can counterspell under a Spell Pierce here. If they have their thing plus Veil at any point, though, I'm probably in trouble. This window, I am. white. They go for a Teferi. Gonna use my counterspell that I can do under a Spell Pierce. They still have their Steam Vents here. Sure. I'm just going to bounce. They have one more. I'm going to shock. They have, the reason why I'm shocking is, again, now I have Counterspell, potentially Counterspell plus Spell Pierce. They only have one more Dwarven Mine. So, if even, some are only playing 3. They potentially grab another Dwarf there to attack the Teferi, in which case I could take it, and then they don't have them to Creativity. Oh man, are they just going for the hard cast here? Teferi doesn't allow Pierce. This was in the event that they were killing the Teferi. I'm fully aware that Teferi turns off interaction at sorcery speed. But thank you. No, that was in the event that they, Teferi's at 1 life. I don't have a Chalice in play. They could very easily kill the Teferi and then take an action, and I wanted to make sure that I'd have Counterspell being able to play for Spell Pierce through that scenario. Use Counterspell there. We draw another Counterspell. I like that. They have 4 cards in hand. It looks like they have maybe another hard cast. Okay. Makes a lot of sense, like what was going on in their hand. They play 3 to 4 Archon. Not comfortable yet hard cast, or putting this in draw mode. They play out a Viseiju. Interesting. Deluge is a huge draw. Massive draw. I'm actually going to main phase it. No, I don't need to main phase it. Never mind. I thought I had 1 less mana than I do. I was going to main phase it to grab a land to have Archmages up, which would have been a little bit risky. I probably shouldn't have done it even if I only had 6 lands, but it would potentially let me cast both spells. Be pretty funny if they have another one here. Looks like maybe just a Wren. Throw into Teferi. Yeah. Go ahead and counter that. 2 cards in hand for the opponent. They're passing. That's huge, 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 huge. This is how we close the door. Is this card right here? They have 1 card in hand. I need to find action or protection into. Then I get to cast it again and slam it. Hopefully. By it, I mean the door shut. All right, go for that. Perfect. We'll take Solitude Teferi. Just take the action. Play Hall. I'm going to say... Well, I'm going to uptick Teferi. I'm just going to say go this turn cycle, planning on, assuming they don't have anything, I have Solitude to do something. But then if I can do this into the Teferi, we're just golden. Yeah, we 3-2. All right, lovely. We take down Creativity. We take down the Mirror. And we beat Creativity, the Mirror, something else. I forget what the something else was. We lost a red-white Convoke and Tron. I think I'm going to lose Tron every single time. Red-white Convoke is a deck I've never played against. I hadn't really seen it before. I wasn't very familiar with its play patterns or anything like that. That was an interesting matchup. That feels like a deck that, I don't know the whole list, but it definitely seems like one of those decks that it really needs to high roll its hands. It looks pretty finicky. It needs a lot of stuff to go right, and it looked like it popped off against you. Maybe it just does that a lot. I don't know, but I think that matchup is that matchup's winnable. That wasn't just abysmal. Tron abysmal. Oh, Living End. Yeah, that was it. Living End. So we took down Living End. We took down Creativity. We took down Control. Control is kind of the odd one out, but beating Living End and Creativity, those are 2 massive meta meta decks. Nice to beat both of those. Losing to Tron is rough. I don't know what to do about that. That seems to be a deck that is like kind of re-entering the format. Whether or not the One Ring is the reason why people are playing it, maybe Tron's just reasonably positioned right now, One Ring or not, but people are playing it, and this iteration of Control is going to struggle against that. You can kind of go toe-to-toe for a while, but eventually they're just going to stick something and it's going to kill you. And we don't have a great way of slamming the door shut or a great way of like permanently closing them out of the game. There are some things we can do that are interesting. I don't think we can feasibly just start playing Field of Ruin again, because our mana base is it's very demanding. We're playing Counterspell, Archmage's Charm, Leyline Binding. We need a very specific mana base to play these cards. We can't just fit in like a bunch of colorless lands. Spreading Seas have been alright. The fact that there's splash damage against Urza Saga, which is another really powerful card in the format, is kind of nice. And then you do hit situations against decks like Creativity where, yes, you can mess with their red count or even their black count to get hard casting things. It is just potentially difficult to find a window to do that. You don't really want to do it on turn 2 because then they slam a Fable and you're in trouble there, or a Teferi or whatever. But Spreading Seas is like an interesting card. Some people have mentioned there's some interesting red sideboard cards because we're doing Leyline Binding. We have access to Steam Vents. There's some interesting red stuff we can do out of the board. Alpine Moon is an option. I've seen some blue-white control lists that are entirely blue-white but are playing Blood Moon in the sideboard. That's kind of an interesting take. There are cards like Crumble to Dust where you can, destroy one Tron land and then it's gone. There aren't really going to be other matchups you bring that in. Maybe with Blood Moon there are. Some decks aren't going to expect the Blood Moon. Maybe that gets them. I think our mana is like kind of scary to play Blood Moon in. You may just be killing yourself there, but it's unexpected and potentially an option. My biggest concern with going with that route to attack Tron, though, especially something like Blood Moon, where it's like a 3-mana play, if they're on the draw or whatever, some of their most potent threats against us are 4-mana Karn and now potentially 4-mana Ring. Both of those are very castable and will bury us, just even if we are messing with their mana. If you go with something like the Crumble to Dust, it's actually destroying a land and not just, so it will actually set them back mana, but it's also 4 mana itself, so if they're on the play again, you're blowing a 4th one up, they're just going to be playing a 4th land again. But it's interesting. There's a lot of, if Tron's going to be coming back, there are ways that we can build blue-white. There are some interesting directions we can go with it. I don't know what the right one is that, has the proper collateral splash with the rest of the format, that we're not just, honed in on trying to beat Tron, I don't want that to be the thing we have to do. That's kind of why I started with the Spreading Seas, though I don't think Spreading Seas actually solves the Tron problem. Because the thing is, Spreading Seas will buy us time, but we can't always capitalize on that time and kill them quick enough, right? So, it'll buy us time, but they will eventually get out of that, and then what? As you saw, if you watch the Tron match that happened here, I did break up their Tron. Eventually, they got the Tron land again, and they had they had the Ugin Sanctum, and they just rolled Ulamogs into each other, and I lost. So, there's got to be something else for that. It used to be playing things like Vendilion Click and whatnot, where I could disrupt them and then actually apply pressure with stuff like that, but I don't think that's the answer these days. So I don't know. It might just be Blue-White's just going to have an unwinnable Tron matchup, or maybe I shouldn't say unwinnable, but a bad Tron matchup. Maybe there's some other stuff we can do. But this is all if we want to stick with specifically blue-white. There's also, if we just want to play control deck and not necessarily blue-white, that is where we then open up some really interesting options, like some stuff that I am trying to think of, trying to work on in the background, which is things like potentially Blue Moon based control decks since Tron's been popping up. I've been trying to see if maybe I could figure out like an old school Blue Moon list, maybe a Through the Breach package, though it still is like a lot of Solitude still floating around, so I don't feel super comfortable like playing Emrakul necessarily right now. But there's been some stuff I'm thinking about and, you know, trying to decide if that's better than Murktide just playing Blood Moons. It's probably not, but I don't know. We'll see. You might see some like funky control builds coming up soon. Maybe. Anyways, that's blue-white control. That's where we're at right now. I think the deck's fine. I think it's very customizable. I think it's got some reasonable matchups in the format. It's not super well positioned, and if Tron is going to be popping up right now, this build is problematic. You're going to be good against the Cascade decks for the most part, which I think that's pretty big. You're good against like Hammer. Creativity can be kind of rough. 4-color, depending on how many Elesh Norns you're playing, 4-color is actually not so bad. It was a lot worse. Not a lot of people are playing 4-color right now, but when they are, if you're on like the 2 Elesh Norn package, it's really not that bad. Like that card dumpsters them. Tron's a problem though. Tron's a problem. Cool. That's blue-white.